of the Survive and Thrive Small Business Workshop Series hosted by the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry. My name is Michelle Laban Clark, and I'm the Executive Director, and I'm indeed pleased to moderate today's session. Before we start, just a few housekeeping matters. We will have a Q&A session following the workshop presentation, and for those joining us on Zoom, if you have any questions during the session, please type them in the question box in your Zoom control panel or use the raise hand feature to alert the team that you wish to unmute your mic and ask a question directly. For those joining us via social media, please feel free to share your questions via the Facebook comment section. This morning, we're launching the first of a four-part virtual workshop series conceptualized by the Barbados Chamber under the brand Survive and Thrive Small Business Series. The last 2 years have indeed been unprecedented for businesses, particularly small businesses, with the global pandemic disrupting not only the Barbados economy, but every economy around the globe. And with the economic fallout from this global pandemic, it is now more important than ever for small businesses to optimize their operations for success in this current environment and for the future. This first workshop in the series will explore the timely topic enabling innovation and digital transformation for business, and this will be facilitated by our subject matter expert, Mr. Roger Hennis, and he is the Senior Manager in Consulting and Lead for the Regional Center for Excellence for Digital with Deloitte, Barbados. The Barbados Chamber is indeed pleased to host this workshop series, which has been made possible through the invaluable contribution of our sponsors, the Nation Publishing Company Limited, Fund Access, the Business and Employment Center, Deloitte Barbados, RDL Eagle Trade Inc., and Guardian General Insurance Limited. We wish to extend our sincere gratitude to these organizations for their support and partnership as we seek to assist the members of the business community to navigate these challenging times, as well as to assist startups, micro, small, and even medium sized enterprises to better position, structure, and grow their companies. At this time, I'd just like to extend apologies on behalf of the Honorable Kerry Simmons, Minister of Energy, Small Business and Entrepreneurship, who was previously scheduled to bring opening remarks at this morning's launch event. So to kick us off, I'd like to introduce Mr. Jimmy Clark, and he is our Senior Vice President of the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He's also the General Manager for Corporate at TMR Sales and Services Limited, and he will bring the welcome remarks on behalf of BCCI President Anthony Branco, who is unable to join us at today's session. So over to you, Jimmy. Welcome.
Thanks very much, Misha. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As a member of the Chamber's Executive Committee, I'm pleased and honored to welcome each of you to the first of our four dynamic workshops in the BCCI's new Survive and Thrive Small Business Series. It is very evident that in the last couple of years have proven quite challenging for businesses of every size as we continue to cope with the perils of the ongoing pandemic and a global economic slowdown. Almost every aspect of life as we knew it has been upended, with every sector and market feeling the side effects of COVID-19, as well as the numerous natural disasters that have impacted Barbados and our neighbouring Caribbean islands. Amidst all the upheavals, smaller enterprises that may not be as well resourced or capitalized have struggled to pivot and stay afloat in this climate of economic difficulty. Despite the myriad of disruptions faced, this historic period has prompted greater focus in the private sector on innovating, rebuilding better, and developing greater resiliency to survive the current climate and excel in future environments. According to the World Bank, small and medium enterprises, or SMEs, play a major role in most economies, particularly in developing countries. They report that SMEs account for the majority of businesses worldwide and are important contributors to job creation and global economic development. They represent about 90% of businesses and more than 50% of employment worldwide. Formal SMEs are estimated to contribute up to 40% of national income or GDP in emerging economies, with the numbers rising significantly when informal SMEs are included. Barbados is no different and has a significant number of businesses on island classified as small business. The success of this sector is therefore essential to a successful private sector and Barbados economy. In 2020, with consideration of issues arising from the pandemic, the Barbados Chamber underwent a major strategic exercise that included an in-depth review of our membership and their needs. Coming out of this process was a recognition that while the Chamber comprised and represented businesses of every size and sector in line with national statistics, over 75% of the Chamber's membership are in the small business category. As evidenced in other markets, providing steady support to SMEs can propel innovation, entrepreneurship, economic diversification, and economic growth for a more successful Barbados. At 195 years as the oldest business support organization in Barbados, the Chamber has always led from the front to build a strong private sector. It was therefore important, given the current hostile business environment, that the Barbados Chamber increase its custom services and offerings for small businesses, develop more business recovery and resilience programs, and increase support to our membership for their digital transformation efforts. The Survive and Thrive series was designed to meet these strategic mandates and support all businesses through this historic business crisis. As we continue to work towards growing the private sector and the Barbados economy, these initial workshops are only the beginning of the Chamber's focus on thought leadership that can help local companies adapt to the changing demands and situations and position themselves operationally to successfully tap into new opportunities as they are revealed. As always, to effectively produce and facilitate quality knowledge sharing and B2B networking activities, the Barbados Chamber is reliant on collaborations with corporate partners, and this event is no different. We are therefore very grateful for the generosity of our kind sponsors who readily agreed to come on board and provide financial support to the Survive and Thrive Small Business Series. As such, we would like to publicly acknowledge and thank our gold sponsor, the Nation Publishing Company Limited, our silver sponsors, the Barbados and Employment Centre, Deloitte Barbados, and Fund Access, as well as our bronze sponsors, Guardian General Insurance Limited and RDL Eagle Trade Incorporated, for pledging their support to this important initiative. Together, we are committed to providing greater access to quality information and guidance, which can drive better business decisions and give us higher hope for our future. I encourage you to fully capitalize on the insights, advice, and tips that will be shared by today's expert speaker, Mr. Roger Hennis, on the topic, Enabling Innovation and Digital Transformation for Business. The pandemic has certainly accelerated the need for businesses to adopt digital technologies and develop greater paths for innovation. We hope this session and this series helps to put you on your optimal path to success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jimmy. Interestingly, you have kind of set the tone for today's discussion because you have highlighted the fact that COVID has indeed upended every life and every sector, but I think it has also brought us to focus in a more strategic way on how we use technology to enable business continuity, whether it is how businesses use it to look at new business strategies or new opportunities to deliver and distribute their goods and services. And that is why today's session is so important because it is as it is entitled Enabling Innovation and Digital Transformation for Businesses. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Gold event sponsor, Nation Publishing Company Limited, and it is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Paulette Jones, who is representing our Gold sponsor today. Paulette is the head of advertising of the Nation Group and has spent over 25 years as a media practitioner specializing in advertising and sales. She's a member of the senior management team of the Nation Group with responsibility for advertising across the media group's platforms of newspaper, radio, and digital. And she's also an executive director of Starcom Network. Welcome, Paulette. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Misha. I want to say good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Protocol having already been established. Thank you for giving the organization that I love the opportunity to address you this morning. When presented with the invitation to partner with the Chamber of Commerce on these educational workshops, the decision was an easy one for us. It was an immediate yes. The nation started with some of the same tenets that form the foundation of many small businesses or entrepreneurial undertakings. Share passion, will, identifying some need, plus a healthy dose of risk taking. The odds were stacked against this media house, yet that same passion and will and taking those risks is exactly what it took to survive and eventually thrive on the way to becoming one of the most recognizable media houses and brands in the region. It was small businesses that gave the nation the leg up it needed some 48 years ago. It is for this reason, then, that our founding fathers insisted that the nation's pages and, by extension, the nation's platforms should always be accessible to small business and entrepreneurs. They should be able to place those all important messages alongside credible, accurate, reliable, current news while benefiting from the nation's vast reach. While the nation has come a long way from where it started, as I said, some 48 years ago, this philosophy remains true today. The success of small businesses is our success. The nation with a capital N and the nation with a common N. As such, we have a comprehensive suite of products and services to reach every demographic with every budget possible. The nation is able to offer small enterprises a mixed design to help them get to their target audience effectively and efficiently while using our authoritative and responsible media. From our daily papers, which on average can reach 60,000 readers a day, and I say discerning readers, our Business Authority, the niche publication which targets businesses and those interested in business. The fleet of magazine products, which include the Better Health, Smart Homes, Fine Cuisine, all of our printed products. And certainly for those interested in digital, we are there as well. We are proud to announce that we have the most visited local website on island, nationnews.com, with over 250,000 visitors daily. A very engaged social media audience, sometimes a little too engaged, I might add. On Facebook, over 210,000 followers, and on Instagram, 131,000 plus. So whether you want to get your message to market digitally or in print, we offer the best alternatives. Certainly our radio platforms as well. I'm sure all of you are familiar with those. VOB, Hot, Life or Gospel Station, and The Beat. A team of experienced members look forward to eagerly discussing all of these options with you, how you can get your messages out to market. Because you're a small business, you start with a very attractive discount, plus value added bundle packages, which would include color and premium positions. At the risk of sounding like if I'm in tourism, I invite you to rediscover the nation. Feel free to give us a call, 430-5517, or just send us an email, advertising@nationnews.com. I look forward to being an active participant in the next, today's session and certainly the three to follow. I believe that the topics are timely, necessary in a COVID environment, and I look forward to engaging with you further on how we can work together for mutual success. Thank you, Misha. Thank you to the Chamber, and certainly thank you, the small businesses who took the time to log on today.
Thank you very much, Paulette. The Barbados Chamber is indeed appreciative of the partnership provided by the Nation Group. In fact, collaboration and partnership is a key strategic pillar of the Barbados Chamber of Commerce as we seek to enhance and support a very vibrant and healthy ecosystem, business ecosystem in Barbados. As I mentioned earlier, the first workshop in the series is intended to explore the very timely topic of enabling innovation and digital transformation for businesses. And so it is really my pleasure at this time to introduce our workshop facilitator, Mr. Roger Hennis. He is the Senior Manager in Consulting and lead of the Regional Center of Excellence for Digital at Deloitte Barbados, and with over 28 years business development experience with leading ICT firms, he has gained a valuable experience working with various industry sectors, including government, financial services, and retail and distribution. And so we are indeed delighted to have you facilitate this session for us, Roger. We believe that your wealth of experience um, make make you well suited to facilitate this workshop session. So welcome and over to you.
Hi, thank you very much, Misha. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, great. So first of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce and the team for inviting me to host this first workshop. I'm very excited and very anxious to be able to share knowledge with the attendees and so forth. What I've also done is that I've actually invited one of my close friends, Samantha Wilkinson, to participate, and she and I will be sharing the stage in terms of discussing digital transformation in today's environment. So I'll let Sam introduce herself. Samantha.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Roger, and good morning to everyone. And so I hope everybody can hear me. Can you hear me, Roger?
Yes.
Okay. All right, fantastic. All right, so I'm Sam Wilkinson, and I too am an entrepreneur, a small micro business establishment I own. And so today I hope to give some insight on digital transformation based on my academic and my real life experience. So happy to be here today with you.
Thank you, Sam. So without further ado, I'll jump straight into the presentation. Can everyone see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the title of the presentation is Enabling Innovation and Digital Transformation for
Right.
Business.
You just need to put it into presentation mode so it's big and we can all see it. We can all see it better.
Okay, it's appearing as presentation mode on my screen.
Oh dear.
Not sure why it's not in that. Just a quick moment. What else, Sam? Hi,
Yes.
hey, Samantha. Right. The other thing I may do is I may ask you to see if you can pull up a version and make a big screen. Because I'm seeing it in a
Yes,
large screen.
certainly I can. All right, let's try that.
While Sam does that, just let me know when it's up, Sam. While Sam does that, the whole concept of having myself present with Sam is that I am from a corporate environment. I have a strong interest in entrepreneurship. I actually I've been a mentor for a number of years with Branson Center, 10 Habitat, and Barbara Youth Business Trust. And my perspective is sharing with businesses, small businesses, how we in Deloitte would work with very large enterprises, the whole concept around digital transformation, and bring some of those thoughts to how a small business could do the same. But what I thought would actually be very useful as well is to have Sam, who actually runs a small business, give it from her point of view. So we're going to be sharing insights. I will be more from this is digital transformation, this is enabling innovation, and Sam can relate to what she sees. She actually does a consulting business that supports small business, so she can give a practical aspect to it. Sam?
Yes. Can you see the screen?
I think they have to switch
Can you
to
see the
you.
presentation on the screen?
Right.
Okay.
Hi, Sam. Just click into presentation mode.
Yes, I did that. I did that. You're not seeing it?
Yes, we're seeing it now.
Okay, fantastic.
Actually, right. I think it's doing it for Mike. Okay, it's doing it for Mike, Sam. So the presentation is called Enabling Innovation and Digital Transformation. And we're going to take in a journey in terms of moving from being where you are as a business to really leveraging digital transformation and innovation going forward. The whole thing, I'll start off by saying that if you think about digital transformation, and we're touching it in here, I think a lot of people get hung up in the word digital. It's really, digital transformation is really business transformation, leveraging digital technologies. So as we go through, we're really going to be focusing on how can you transform your business for today's new environment, and really leverage technology to be able to survive in a world that's driven, by social media, by everyone using their phones and that kind of environment. So what has happened over the last, I would say within the last 10 years, is that digital and technology and social media and everything has really disrupted and put the power of experiences in the hands of the consumer. Now you move to a stage where you can access almost anything you want. You can buy products online through Amazon. You can, get, if you want to decide where you're going to travel, you go on one of the Expedia, one of the sites. You can look to see what other people are saying. But a lot of things are driven by what people can do through logging online to make decisions and to drive. It isn't just about marketing, it's more so what people want. So disruption, this is what we would say digital disruption, is disrupted the way business operates and has operated. And what this has done in a positive way is that it has brought new opportunities. So in terms of it, companies that what we call retail companies or companies that sell products or services have really started to move, as you've seen, where everyone now has harnessed digital to really delight their customers, transform the operations, and in many instances, come up with new business models. And we'll touch on some of those things as we go through. But you're really therefore looking at digital experiences, which looks at how do I engage, how do I interact with customers and consumers? So you're dealing with the front end. Digital at the core deals with how do I transform my business and reinvent how I run it. And then digital at the horizon looks at, is there a potential for me to pivot from the way I did it before to a new way of doing it, and maybe get into a new line of business that may be totally digital. So as we go through, we're going to share experiences on examples of persons who've done this. But as we see on the left-hand side, it talks about a world where consumers think they can have it all, right? Anything they want, they can go online and get it. So there's a want it now mindset, and people don't have time to wait. Amazon has driven a lot of this, because Amazon provides anything and everything from a retail point of view anywhere in the world. I mean, as you know, you can go on Amazon, see the cost of something to Barbados and ship it, and it's here in a week. So I don't have to physically go downtown to buy something. And technology is driving a lot of this. Some of the things you have to look at, skill sets you have today may not be relevant tomorrow, because the world keeps changing. So these are all relevant from the point of view of running a business, where you have to realize, I have to keep keeping up with what users want and how they want it, and make sure I at least understand that, so I don't become a dinosaur and become less relevant in today's environment, which keeps changing all the time. You know, you have things like TikTok, and we've got this company WePay based in Jamaica, just launched wearable technology 3 days ago, where I can pay for goods using a wearable device, whether it's a watch or whatever. I tap it on the screen and on a point of sale terminal, and I can pay for my goods. So we need to be aware of what's going on all the time. So really recognize the fact that as a small business, you are in the digital age. And being in a digital age, customer engagement is expected. People expect you to interact with them, engage them, keep them interested, right? It's not just about posting a website or, you know, giving a brochure and that's it. People want continuous engagement. Relationships are real time. So when you have a customer, you provide a product or service, people many times want to be able to engage you and know what's going on. If I'm going to order a passport, I want to know when am I getting it. So people believe in the two-way interaction. Choice is infinite. Choice is infinite is important in that if you can't provide the service or can't provide the capability, there's somebody else that's doing it. Deliveries on demand. So there's a lot more, like the way what is biggest now is Netflix, right? Netflix has really pulled people away from watching, you know, the channels like ABC and NBC and live TV, to be able to say, I want to watch what I want when I want. Netflix, Hulu, whatever else. I can watch live, but I also want on demand. And that's also in terms of goods and services. If I want to order food, I would like to believe that I can order it and it be delivered to my house. And we have that in Barbados oftentimes. Change is constant, and technology enables everything that we do. So the first part of the conversation, we're going to look at enabling innovation, which is what many entrepreneurs should consider. How can I do things differently? And for that, as I stated at the very beginning, digital transformation and innovation is really based around business transformation. So what we actually guide people through when we're working with large enterprises is a strategic planning process. How can you transform your business for the new environment? And when we look at it from the point of view of two real aspects. What is a new strategy for operating in today's world? And then once you define your purpose and your strategy, in the green section, what's the target operating model that will allow you to deliver on the new strategy that you've defined, right? So when we talk about enabling innovation, we will look at strategies and new ways of doing things and innovating. And then the operating model is where we can suggest or say that digital transformation comes in, where leveraging digital, we change the way we've done things and do things with a whole new operating model. So the enabling innovation, we'll start looking at purpose and strategy. And the three aspects of strategy from the strategic process that we use, we look at three main areas for purpose and strategy. The first one is, what is your aspiration? Like, why do you exist? Why do you do what you do? It's more than just I'm selling a product, I'm selling a service. There usually is a deeper reason as to why you do what you do, what's driven you to get up every day and do it. And that is really a North Star. And Sam will talk about it in the next slide. But you really have to look within yourself to see, what is my business about? And why does as Simon Sinek, a guy says, your why. Why is your business there? Because people, a lot of times today, people buy from you because of your why, not just based on your products and services, because everybody does it. The next aspect looks at where will you play? And where will you play? If you think of it from a football analogy, where you're going to dribble the ball, like who are your clients and services? What are the segments of the market you're serving? What are the markets you're serving? Is it, local, regional, international? But really understanding where is my business going to play and how am I going to exist? And then the last aspect looks at what is your competitive advantage. So you define your why and why you have this business and why you're doing it. You define who your customers are, what products and services you're offering, and what markets you're offering them to. The last thing then says, how do you stand out? Because if everybody does the same thing in the same markets, with the same customers, you're just one of 1,000 people. Choice is infinite. So we are going to step through these 3 areas that you really need to think about when you're really finding a strategy for your business transformation. Over to you, Sam.
Yeah, so defining your why is so important, and it's important for a few reasons. So first of all, you need to be clear on the marketplace, and you need to be clear on what is it that you're going to do in the marketplace that's going to make a difference. So we're going to talk a little bit as we go on about meeting the needs of the market, because it's not good enough just to have a good idea or a product that you think is good or that a few people around you think is good to bring to market. But then if the market's not interested, and if enough of the market's not interested, if it's not positioned the right way, if it's not presented the right way for the wider market or the target within the wider market, then you will have challenges. So understanding your why is first of all really important. Why are you doing this? And as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, there are going to be days, weeks, and months in which you are going to ask yourself at different points in times, why am I doing this? Oh my gosh, is it worth the stress? Is it worth the long hours, etc.? And there's lots of satisfaction from being able to achieve and to do your own thing, as we would say, to have your own business and to see it grow. And most people will say to you, I don't mind working the extra time. I don't mind the extra hours. I don't mind, putting in all of that extra effort because it's mine. And so I will do it because it belongs to me. But there are times where it will be tough. It'll be tough whether it's from a customer satisfaction point of view, whether it's a product delivery or a product quality aspect, or maybe even financially, it'll be tough. And you may ask yourself why. And what keeps you going is really the purpose behind why you're doing this. Like, why did you start this in the first place? And that needs to drive you. Because if you're doing something just because you're trying something out, if you're doing it just because somebody said, well, hey, this is a good idea, why you don't do it? When things get tough, when things are rough, you're going to want to give it up. You're going to want to move on. So understanding your why is really important. And one of the examples that you'll see on the slide is Amazon. And so, the Amazon quote there, that's their mission statement, why they are in business and what they've set out to do. And I recall when Amazon first started, they wanted to be the biggest online bookshop in the world, and they caused huge disruption in the marketplace when they started. So Barnes and Nobles and Brookstone and all these other bookshops, were kind of up in arms when Amazon started. And I recall a few years, just a short while after they started, maybe a couple of years, I was in the UK studying, and that's where I got all my books, through Amazon, delivered right to my door. I didn't have to go anywhere. And so they understood that this is what people would want, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to get to where we want to go. This is how we're going to become the biggest bookstore in the world. This is how we're going to make it convenient that anybody anywhere can get what they need, and they don't have to come to a specific location, and we can reach them wherever they are. And so they had that purpose. And so what's great about them, and as we go through, we're probably going to use Amazon again as an example, is that the way that they set their business up made it easy for them to move from not just selling books, but what doesn't Amazon sell? No, they sell everything. And so they set it up in a way, and Roger will talk about business models and the importance of having the right model and being able to scale the model that you have. So they understood what they wanted to do, and they were focused on it, and they were able to grow from that starting position. So your why is important. You got to understand why you're doing this. You need to understand the market and why you're doing this. And then so after you understand, well, why you're doing this, where will you play? So where are you going to actually sell your product? What channels are you going to use, and who are you targeting? And so if you're selling a product or delivering a service, you can't do it for everyone on the planet all in the same way, because everyone on the planet is not going, what you sell is not going to appeal to everyone, but it may appeal to specific groups, and it may appeal to large groups, or it may appeal to niche groups. So that's really important also to know and to understand. Where is it that you're going to play, and who you're playing with? Who are your target customers? Who do you want to satisfy? Who do you want to sell to and meet the needs? Which market segment do you want to meet the needs of? Who has a need for what you're selling, and in what way are you going to sell it to them? And that's extremely crucial, because as you grow, um, you want to be able to satisfy your target in a way that you're able to grow within that target, that you have, that segment that you have, and continue to satisfy them in a way that they exclusively want to do business with you and no one else. So it's very important that you know, whether it's, you know, the Gen X's, whether it's the millennials, whether it's the baby boomers, whether you have a more of a female target versus a male target. Who is it that you're selling to? Who are the personas that really are interested in purchasing from you and repeatedly purchasing from you? So regardless of what you're selling, whether you have a food truck or whether you have a big business somewhere, you need to understand who that customer base is, so that you can make your tweaks, that you can fashion what you do to exceed the expectations of those people who you know are the ones who are going to patronize you and who need what you are selling. Because really it's about making sure that you're meeting and filling the needs of your people. And where are you selling to? Now, we're talking about digitalization. If you're selling a physical product, unless it's something very perishable, you don't just need to sell it just within your small community or within one location. You can sell that anywhere. So looking at logistics, looking at shipping, looking at who you reach, also really important. Is this product just for Barbados? Is this product for the region? Or is this a product that if somebody in Japan says, I want to experience this, that you can do that as well? So thinking about those things up front, thinking up front about where you're going to sell, who you're targeting, and why you're really doing it, also very important. And then how will you win? And I'm seeing myself on screen, so I don't know if you can see the slides. There we go. So how will you win? What is your competitive advantage? How are you going to do things differently? First of all, when you do your research and you understand that there's a need in the marketplace for what it is that you're selling or the service you're providing, how many other people are doing what you're doing? And how many people are doing it in the way that you thought about doing it? So if everyone is doing it in the same way that you're doing it, what differentiates you? What makes people want to come to you versus the person next door? Is it price? And if it's price, how long can you sustain, a price that's much cheaper? Are you buying from the same people they're buying from? So are you potentially going to be making less money? So these are all things that you need to think about. How are you going to differentiate yourself? Are you differentiating on price? Are you differentiating on service? Are you differentiating on the experience? Are you differentiating on the kind of product that you are bringing to market? Is there something different about how your product looks, feels, and is experienced to the other people in the marketplace? And is it a product or a service that is a need, there's a need for it in the marketplace in the first place? Are 100 other people on the same corner as you selling the same thing in the same way? Then why would people come to you? So you need to think about, how am I going to present myself differently? what is my product going to be doing differently to other products, or how will it satisfy people in a different way? What can I add to it? What flavor can I add to it? What can I do to differentiate it in terms of my service or my service experience? Why would people come to me over the other people in the marketplace that are doing something similar to me? And if people are doing the same thing, I'm thinking about how can I actually do something that's not quite the same? How can I change it and still meet the need or meet an unmet need in the marketplace? When I talk to people, they say, yeah, I like coming there and I like buying stuff like that. But what I would really like is if they would do this instead. So, how can I then make the shift so that I can actually offer and deliver what people are asking for, so that I am able to differentiate myself and my value proposition be different from others in the marketplace? And so these are all things that absolutely need to be considered when you start and you're thinking about your business model. Before you even start and you get into business, all of this stuff you should think about. But if you're already in business and you hadn't thought that through, in great detail, now is a good time to go back and think about, let me revisit this. Why did I start this in the first place? What is this? What did I really start this business to do? What is it that I wanted to achieve? And how did I want to reach people? In what way did I want to reach people? In what way did I want to meet the needs that are unmet? And what are those unmet needs? Am I clear? Do I really know what the unmet needs are, so that I know that what I am doing is going to fill that need in a way that really causes heightened, increased satisfaction to the people that I am targeting? And am I targeting the right people for the kind of product that I am actually producing, in the way that I'm producing it, with the features that I'm producing it with? All considerations. So, Roger, I'm going to hand back over to you as we dive right into innovation and how we do things differently, so that we can get the results that we need and we can reach people in a way that they want to be reached in this new age.
Thank you very much, Samantha. So as Samantha said, this is where we really start to get a stronger focus on innovation. And, as the title says, enabling innovation and digital transformation. How does innovation allow you to have a competitive edge? How do you do things differently is really what you're really looking at. And I'll jump forward and then I'll come back to customer journey mapping. But one of the things you have to recognize with innovation is really saying, how can you do things in a way that causes you to stand up and be above the rest of the crowd, right? And if everyone does things the same way and you do what everyone else is doing, then the choice maybe becomes price, or the choice becomes something else. If I'm doing it in a different way, then I attract people in a different way. So a nice example of innovation, and this was from many years ago, Uber, and everyone's familiar with Uber. Uber is the world's largest taxi company, but Uber does not own owns no fleet, owns no vehicles, right? Airbnb is the same thing. They're the largest accommodation provider, but they own no real estate. So what these two companies did was, by innovation, they disrupted the way things were normally done. And what you found is, in the past, before Uber, people would have to call a taxi. And then when you did it, the experience wasn't necessarily the best. You call a taxi you're at a hotel, you call a taxi. This is overseas, I'll give as used as an example. You have to wait. You're not sure when the taxi is going to get there. I've been through that, where I've been at a hotel, got the front desk to call a taxi, and then 20 minutes later, I'm still waiting to call again. The taxi company says the driver's on his way, and then you're waiting, you don't know what's going on, and then it kind of drives you crazy. And then the taxi turns up, it may be a very old, broken down car, not enough space, etc. What Uber did was they looked at the whole customer experience and the whole customer journey, and they redefined the way they did it. And they really focused on a wow experience. So when you call Uber, you can tell where the vehicles are, you know how long they're going to take to get there. You can choose what kind of vehicle you want with the various levels of Uber. And then the whole payment process is very simple, right? The taxi, you place a call, you order it online, the vehicle turns up, you have the ride, you experience it, you rate the driver, you get out, and then you go do what you're doing. and all of it is just automated. So they've disrupted and innovated, offering transportation in a whole new way. Airbnb is the same thing. Airbnb, before you went, you were going to travel overseas, you booked a hotel, the whole thing with booking the hotel and reconfirming, and there's a long process. What Airbnb has done is transform the way people stay at accommodation internationally and anywhere, and made it very user-friendly, very a great customer experience, but transformed it. So what the two have done as large-scale examples is innovated and disrupted the way things were done and did it differently. And what innovation is about is, what Deloitte has defined is that we actually have a group that Deloitte owns called Deloitte Dublin. And they're one of the largest innovation companies in the world. And what they came up with is that there are 10 types of innovation. Innovation could be categorized in 10 ways. The 10 types of innovation as shown on the screen are, they fall under 3 categories. There's how you configure your business, there's the product offering that you provide, or there's the experience that you offer. And then you look to say, I can differentiate myself in one of those 10 ways, or I can usually do it in 3, 4, 5, 6, and the best companies will do all between 8 and 10. So what we'll do is we'll very quickly go through the various types of innovative ways you can differentiate your business. I'll start with customer experience and let Sam speak to that, and then I'll take on customer offering and configuration. So Sam, I'll let you talk about experience.
Okay, fantastic. Roger, if you go back to the slide before, I think I missed out on the customer journey mapping, and I'll start there, and then I will go into continue talking about customer experience, as customer journey mapping really helps us to look at that in-depth customer experience.
Right, I have it up.
All right,
Nicholas,
fantastic.
if you can put it on my screen.
Yeah, so I think maybe it's just a slight delay. I should see it shortly. All right, so when we talk about customer experience, what's very helpful, useful for us to do is to do customer journey mapping, so that we understand at every single point in the process of actually bringing what we are selling to the customer from the start all the way through, that we understand what's involved in the process and how the customer interacts with us at each stage of that process, what the experience should look like at each touch point, at each step, who is involved in each of those steps, and how they're involved, and what the customer, what the needs are at that step, and how those needs are fulfilled. So when we look here, if you see on the screen, so you see going through from awareness to consideration to purchase to retention to advocacy, the journey that we want customers to take with us, and how we get to the point where the customer is satisfied and they want to tell everybody about that experience. So at each step, what is it that we're doing? We want to make sure that there is awareness. So what are the things that we need to do to make sure that the customer is aware of what we are selling? Where do we need to be? What channels do we need to use? And how do we need to use them? So are we advertising? How are we promoting? How are we doing ads? Are we on social media? Are we doing paid advertising? Or are we doing just social media posts on the various platforms that our target will be using? Because that's important too. If you have a target market that doesn't go on Facebook, so say you're with the Zen, the ones that come with Zen disease, you're targeting a young demographic, then they're not on Facebook. So you can do 1,000,001 posts on Facebook, and few of them are going to see it. So having the right platforms, making sure that you understand how they interact on that platform with you, how they engage you, and having that in mind, making sure that you have your channels set up right, but also making sure that you have a media plan, so that you know that when they interact with you, that it's very timely. This is what works. I'll just share a quick experience with you that I had recently with respect to channels. And digital channels. So I called a local establishment to find out if they had an item. I wanted to know if they had it. I wanted to know, well, the item comes in various sizes, etc. So I asked information. They gave me some information and I asked the price. And they said to me, we don't give prices over the phone there. And I said to them, but you are, perhaps not the only person that sells this item. And so, I really do need to know in this COVID environment if I should leave and come to your establishment. So I'm asking these questions to know if you have what it is that I need before I get up and drive all the way to you. Now, from their perspective, they probably think, well, if I find a price better somewhere else, then I'll go. But here's the thing: if I go to you and it doesn't look right in the first place, I'm never going to come back. So what is it that you're losing? So I engage with them also on social media. They have a social media platform, and they're on a social media platform. And I had written to them, waiting on a response. Nothing came. So that's when I called. Then after my experience on the phone, I wrote to them again. And this is now 2 weeks and no one has responded to me on the social media platform. So there's no one manning it. There's no one who's looking at it. So they obviously didn't have that as part of their plan. They're obviously didn't factor that in. So they probably, they set it up, but then they didn't look back at it. Nobody's manning it. Nobody's looking at it. So that's really important. So when you're thinking about the customer experience and every single point in which your customers are engaging with you, then you need to think about what that looks like and how is it supposed to function. What is it that you want to get out of it? So you do your advertising, and then people call you. Is anybody answering the phone? When they answer the phone, how are they answering the phone? What do they say? When they engage you on social media, what are they saying? When somebody sends you a message or an order, is someone there? Is someone looking at it? What do you have in place? So these are all things that are important. So you need to map the journey all the way through from the beginning to the end, and for each touch point, for every different element that you have in place in which the customer will interact with you, you need to be able to be very clear on what should happen and who's involved and what is involved and what it should look like. So that the customer is never left hanging and you have an understanding within your operation of the expectations, and the customer has an understanding of what they can also expect of you when they interact with you. So that's really important. So Roger, if we move on to the next slide, I wanted to just talk a little bit about that, and for the personas. And now looking at customer engagement based on the slide that you had up earlier. So customer engagement. So we have a few examples here for the spectrum that we have here, and we has customer engagement done, fully immersive platform in which whatever the users on the platform do, everything that is done is the analytics are recorded, and whatever is done factors in to how the platform is then upgraded, how things are improved, so that the experience continues to evolve all the time. And so the customer always feels like they are in control of what's happening. They have control within the environment. And for those of you who may not know about we a gaming platform owned by Nintendo, and they are tops when it comes to customer engagement and interactions that are distinctive. And we a platform in which you don't even have to go to play games if you want, but a place where you can network with like-minded people, and so you can go and just chat. You can be in rooms with them and chat and share with respect to the what it is that you find in common within the platform. So fantastic platform with respect to customer engagement. So one that you can check out. Your brand represents who you are, and brand is not just your logo, but brand is also who you are in the minds of your customers, and understanding what they can expect from you based on what they see and what they experience and what they what they feel, see, taste, experience from you on a regular basis. And so it's really important that you think about all those things, because making missteps that reoccur damages the brand, because you don't want your customers to expect negative things to happen. You don't want your customer to say, oh man, when I go there, this part of the business is okay, but oh, you have to wait so long. It's always long, and then nobody talks to you. Nobody comes and asks you, what you need. There's nowhere to sit down, and so then there's all these negative connotations that affect how you are viewed in the mind of your customer. And so these are things that you have to really think very seriously about. So your brand is really very important, a consideration. And the channels, how you are delivering what you are delivering. So the example for brand is Virgin. So anybody who's flown on Virgin or used one of Virgin's other products knows what to expect from Virgin, right? Channels, how your offerings are delivered to customers and to users. So if you know Nespresso, so they do like the little coffee pods, but they also do other pods, not just coffee. Their brand, has evolved into they're able to sell to you same packaged goods that are packaged in the same way, but not necessarily just coffee, because not just coffee drinkers may want to actually experience their products, have that same experience for only coffee. So Espresso, you can be a member. They will ship the items out to you, and they're packaged in a way that's so easy and convenient for you to enjoy what it is that they actually sell. And so as a member, you can have recurring shipments. As a member, you can decide how it is you want to experience, to receive the items that they're selling, and then how often, the quantity, etc. And they make sure that is shipped out to you. So Espresso, really good example. How is it that you want your customers to receive your products, and when, the frequency, in what way do you want them to experience the products that you are selling? So that's also quite important as well. All right. And is there anything else on the side? And service. Oh my goodness. Service. Major importance. So service. So the example we have for service is Zappos, which is, they're known for best service in shoes, whatever you want, however you want it. Their support, the enhancements around what you offer, what you can do in terms of customization. Zappos is great. And so they really, really listen to the customer, and they take into consideration what the customer is saying, what they want, and how they want it, and how they want to experience it. And then all of that goes into how they're able to fashion what they do and improve on it as well. So experience is it's huge. If you're not thinking about how your customers are interacting with you, if you're not thinking about how you would like to be able to fill the needs that they say that they have when they interact with you, then you're going to be behind the game. And as we're talking about digitalization and we're talking about innovation, if you have a business and you are not, you have no online presence at all, then there's only so far that you're going to reach, because increasingly so, it's not just persons who want to leave home and see if you're open at this point in time, or see if or see if you still have what they think you have, or that just want to call you. But more and more, as we progress in terms of our sophistication as consumers, we want the convenience of being able to go on a platform and be able to see and be able to order, and in some cases be able to experience before we even purchase. And if there are options that we have that allow us to do that, then if you have no presence, if you are not engaging your customers outside of just the face-to-face when they come to your establishment, then you're going to be behind the game. So it's important to think about every single point in the journey and how you want to interact with that customer and put in place what needs to be in place to be able to do that effectively and also efficiently.
Okay, thank you very much, Sam. I'll continue to discuss some of the other innovative types. So the first one is experience, which Sam has done a very good job of defining. I'll speak to next one, offering, which is in the middle. So this one looks at either your product offering or your service offering. And from an offering point of view, it's either you look at product performance or you look at the actual product ecosystem. So from a product performance point of view, which is what most people kind of go directly to, I produce a product or a service and I differentiate myself by my product has certain distinguishing features other products don't have. So I stand out by maybe having an amazing product. For example, sometimes people will say, BMW or Mercedes-Benz give you X, Y, and Z, or, another vehicle like Range Rover, the vehicle can go up and down, when you want to enter it. But there's something unique about the way you do what you do. Maybe the sound system in the vehicle, maybe whatever. Good grips is the example they give there, where good grips, what they're known by is that they're the best grips in the world. When you wear these, you can grip anything. You don't lose anything. So the product itself sells itself in terms of how amazing it is. There's actually an example I was discussing from a product performance point of view, which was really struck home to me. That there was a restaurant in Chinatown in London. It's still around, but many, many years ago when I studied in England, someone took me to this restaurant and the name is called Wonky, Wongkei. What Wonky was known for, Wonky was called the rudest restaurant in London. So you go to the restaurant, you go there, the food is amazing, but the waiters treat you in an awful way. You get there, you're waiting to be seated. There's 500 people that can be seated in there. And you basically sit at like trestle tables. You're not in a table by yourself, trestle tables. And when you're waiting to go in, if you're not ready, they quickly ignore you, go to the next person. They call you and say table for 2, table for 4. And if you're not ready, very quickly, they just bypass you. When you do get inside eventually, they just bring the food to you. There's no service. You just order it, they take it, and they come back and kind of drop the food on the table. What they're known for, if when they serve the food and they serve it with chopsticks, you ask for a knife and fork, they will insult you from now till whenever, right? They will just insult you. They don't care. The waiter's just rude. And that's a novelty of it. And then the other thing will happen is that if you don't tip them well, we inverted commas didn't tip them well, they curse us and throw the money back at us. But everyone goes to Wonky, used to go to Wonky then. But the reason I give that example is the product was all that mattered. They did not tick any other box on this innovative competitive strategy. The food, people lined up to go to it, but the service was awful, the structure was awful, and everything was big. So, but product performance can be enough to go forward. Product system looks at, if I'm providing a product or service, or mostly a product, do I have complementary products and services that support whatever I'm doing? So a nice example, they refer to cyan, but I kind of flip to automotive art. Automotive art started primarily doing after sale. They were doing things like, vehicle painting and those kind of things. And then they branched into a range of everything that supports your vehicle. So aftercare, everything to do with aftercare. But they move from one thing to an entire ecosystem of anything to do with the vehicle. And that's another way you can distinguish yourself. You become a one-stop shop for everything that people want to do by moving over above your initial product offering to everything associated with it. From the configuration point of view, there's profit model, there's the network model, the structure and process. So the the competitive advantage in terms of a profit model, to be saying in a very summary way. Gillette is an example, HP is another example, HP printers, where I may provide a cost upfront that may not be as expensive as it needs to be, but then you have to keep coming back to me to be able to use the product that you got initially. So when you buy a Gillette razor, a really high-end razor, the stem doesn't cost as much. You buy it with the razor on top. But then you can only use Gillette blades on a Gillette shaving razor. So you have to keep coming back. So they don't make as much profit in the beginning, but the money is made in the replacement blades going forward. HP printers is a similar thing. I can go in Barbados, I can go buy an HP printer for $120 or $90 for an HP printer, and it comes with the initial supply of ink. When I go back to buy more ink from the HP printer, the replacement ink is $100, $120. The printer itself doesn't cost anything, but you're locked into having to buy supplies at a higher thing. So the profit is low, but you are locked in, and subscriptions work with that as well. So that's one way of being competitive, where you get customers for life, but they're locked into your system because they have to keep coming back to you. From a network point of view, it's, can you leverage a network of suppliers or providers that allows you to provide be all things to your clients, but you're not actually creating the products or services. And Target is a perfect example. So Target has created a network of people that make furniture for them, people that do paintings, people that produce all sorts of product, but you go to Target to buy all of these things. So Target uses the network connections to create value for a person who's buying for their home, right? One-stop shop, but then I can create a network. Another perfect example from a Barbados point of view, Peter Thompson, this is this guy who has this website called Remote Work Caribbean, where he basically is providing a concierge service to people who come in on the welcome stamp. And anything a person needs when they're coming in from overseas, Peter will provide it for them. But Peter has created relationships with car companies, helping you get into schools, working with the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Agriculture, bringing plants in, bringing cats and whatever. But he's using this network to create value for someone coming in on the welcome stamp who doesn't know what to do or who to go to. He uses that as his network configuration that differentiates him from a lot of other people. Structure looks at how do you align your talents and assets to be able to, so from your organizational point of view and how you structure what you do, how can I differentiate myself? Whole Foods is a perfect example, and some of the other companies like Walmart, where Whole Foods, in terms of how they restock and how they supply to the various Whole Foods stores, every Whole Foods store at the end of the day is what they have or where they have or how their sales have been or what is needed or what is selling and not selling is uploaded to the main Whole Foods location, and be able to go the next day using analytics to decide how we restock and how we restock and so forth based on the demands for the store. So some stores may be selling more of one product and not another, but the way their environment and structure is based, they can suitably restock and rethink, and managers also feed into what they want and what they don't want. So it allows, from a structure point of view, they can differentiate themselves and always offer what is needed or required. And process is the last area from how you configure your business. Processes, is there a unique or signature way of how you run your business, how you do your work that differentiates you from anyone else? There are processes within your business. And Zara is giving us an example. So Zara is one of the world's top selling companies for clothing, primarily women. And what Zara does is Zara's process is unique, where Zara tends to follow what is in and trendy. And their stores are all around the world. But what happens is that as people come into the stores or as people ask for things, the store clerks and store owners feed that information back to the main office in Spain as to what is trending in their market or what people are asking for. And Zara has people who create the product and sew and knit based in Spain itself, and they could have a new product line on the shelves within 6 weeks because they have this totally digital automated process and the way they sew, knit, and everything, that if the trend has changed, or what is street cred is different, they can be carrying that line of clothing in less than 6 weeks. What most clothing stores have to do is they have to wait until a new season comes around to come up with a new line of clothing. Zara's changed the way it does. So they're always current, they're always edgy, just based on how they've structured how things operate within the processes in Zara. So this covers the 10 ways that you can differentiate how your business runs using innovation. Either how you configure your business, profit, network, structure, process, the offering that you give, which is maybe the performance of the product, or you having an ecosystem of that supports the product that you're doing, or the experience, which is you can give amazing customer service, you're using a channel which is unique, you build a brand that when people hear the brand, they'll automatically go to you. So Virgin is Virgin, airlines, Virgin Trains, Virgin Cola. Virgin's brand represents something. When people hear Virgin, they think innovative, different, and people buy into the brand. And the last one is, how do you engage customers to want to interact with you and do business with you? So that really speaks to how can I innovate, which goes back to the thing we spoke about before. How will you win? What is your competitive edge? And how can you do things differently if you leverage innovation? And one of the 10 types, actually more than one, it allows you to be different to everybody else who's doing what you're doing. So we'll touch on, and here's an actual example, hopscotch. Hopscotch actually uses, there are 10 types. Hopscotch probably uses, I would say, 5 to 6 of these types of innovation to differentiate themselves in terms of the experience. Hopscotch has created a brand for itself, and we'll touch on them a little bit later. Customer engagement is phenomenal. If you ever use Hopscotch, everything is online. You can, if you want something delivered to you, you put your Google PIN as to where you live, and then there's just throughout everything, in terms of how they deliver. And we showed at the bottom, when you order, you place the order for the restaurant and everything, and then you get an electronic receipt, and the graphics in the bottom show, they will tell you, we've got the order, we're going to pick it up from the restaurant, and then they tell you when they collected the order. You're getting all these notifications all the time, and you can track to see the vehicle as it comes to you and everything. Engagement is mind-blowing. The channel is digital online, which is great, and using Google Maps and so on, things that people are familiar with. And I dare say they've created a brand for themselves such that people think, all the restaurants think of using hopscotch. And hopscotch has leveraged that to go into other areas, and they've created a brand. The service is phenomenal. If you have a problem, they will call you, or email you and tell you, I'm sorry, the thing you ordered is not available. Would you like to order something else? The restaurant says it's out of it. The product is phenomenal. The ecosystem is great. The process is phenomenal. They've created a network of drivers, and how they get things done are working very closely with the restaurants and then the other service providers that they use, and then the structure of how they align their talent and their assets. So the talent is the staff and the resources, and the assets in terms of what they have in place that allows them to give this amazing performance. So I think they've done a great job in terms of leveraging at least, I would say between 5 and 7 types of innovation that differentiates them and has allowed them to move to another level. So what this slide says is that successful innovators, most innovators use between 1 to 3 types of innovation that we identified before, right? So on average, it's 1.8 types of innovation used by average innovators. Really successful innovators, and they've listed some here like Intel and Fitbit and Nike and Disney and Apple use more. So Intel uses 4 types of innovation, Nike and Fitbit, etc., use 6 types. Disney uses 8 types of innovation, and Apple uses all of them. Everything there, Apple does really, really well in terms of their phones. So this speaks to, on average, a successful innovator we'll use 3.6. So between 3 and 4 types of innovation that we listed before. And then you can kind of see where you fall and where you fit. So that really addresses the first part of looking at how can I transform my business and have a strategy around it and really build to the point of having a purpose, figuring out what the products and services, where I'm going to play, products and services, clients and markets, and then what is my competitive edge and how do I use innovation. The second aspect we're going to look at is in terms of transforming your business, is saying, okay, now that we've defined what your purpose is and what your strategy is, how do we operationalize that and make it real and make it successful? So what do we need to put in place to actually execute? And this is where we start to look at digital transformation, right? How can we transform the business using digital capabilities, digital technologies to get us there? So this is what we'll speak to now going forward. And digital transformation, as you said, is really is business transformation using digital. But in today's environment, is really future-proofing your business. For today's environment, everything is digital. So we need to make your business be supported in a world where everyone makes decisions on their phone, whether Instagram, whether Facebook, whether TikTok. That's what drives the mind share of today's person. And that's where you need to be able to offer services, or whether a website or whatever, or e-commerce, but you can't just do it the old, I've got, I've got a building, I've got a store, I hope people come to me, and I'm not digital. We really need to future-proof how you're doing things going forward because the world has changed. Digital is more than just technology, which is something that we will stress. People think digital, and this is why I say it is really business transformation using digital. But digital is two things. Digital is technology. So you're looking at social media, like if you look at the right-hand side, leveraging social media, leveraging mobile apps, mobile capability, providing services on phones, things like analytics, big data, things like using artificial intelligence, which is coming into like chatbots and predictive learning, etc. Doing things in the cloud. So whether I'm using cloud applications, which a lot of people do use now, Google Docs and whatever else, Google email but other apps, those are the simple ones, but other apps that are all cloud-based. That's the technology of today. That's digital emerging technologies. But digital is also a mindset. Digital is, I need to think differently. I need to do things differently. I need to be agile. I need to be nimble because the world keeps changing all the time and customers' expectations keep changing. I need to be a risk taker. I can't just do it in a traditional way, the way I've always done it, and expect to survive in today's environment because people have short attention spans and people have high expectations because your competitors doing it differently to you and therefore you're being left behind. I have to be challenging. I need to go against what has been the norm in the market and disrupt and maybe come up with something new based on what customers are asking for that does not exist. And I also need to be collaborative. You can't create everything yourself. You need to form relationships with other solutions providers, service providers from maybe an app point of view or technology point of view, but also you need to integrate with other companies that offer complementary services so you can become a more efficient. So I may have a restaurant as an example. People want to be able to get food from me. I as a restaurant may need to collaborate with Hopscotch to be able to do deliveries, right? Or I may be able to collaborate, I may need to collaborate with, WePay or whoever to be able to do online payments. So, but you have to be open-minded and think, it isn't just about my business that's directly in front of me. I may do food or cupcakes or hair or nails, but how can I work with other service providers to be able to offer this edgy, different, meet customers' expectations, edgy, different offering in today's environment. So when we think about digital transformation, I'll just go back a slide. We're going to start with looking at, in order to be able to get there, what capabilities will you need? And then what's the operating model for getting there? So I'll go to capabilities. I'll let Samantha speak to the capabilities, and I'll jump in and speak on some of the things going after that. Go ahead, Samantha.
Yes. Yes, Roger, thank you. And so, really important point that you were making just now. If we pull the slide back up, really important point that we were making with respect to networking and making sure that you have, you know, the right associates, that you are associating with the right people, and that you are forming good links with other agencies that can add value to your business, maybe with respect to at the source in terms of sourcing, or with respect to actually delivery of the product as well. So all the way through. So yesterday I had my first delivery from Hopscotch. I know you were talking about Hopscotch earlier, Roger, and it wasn't a food delivery. So as we know, Hopscotch started out with delivering food, but now they deliver for different retail establishments as well. And I was really impressed by what my experience yesterday. I had an initial call from the retail establishment, who they also seem to be very on the ball and very in tune with all of their touch points on social media. They were able to get back to me very quickly when I had questions, etc. They told me, you know, what day that my order would be delivered. And then I had a call from Hopscotch, and saying to me, you know, the lady actually said, she told me her name, and she actually said to me, I know that you have to leave home by 10 o'clock. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm just running a few minutes late. And I thought, wow, this is so good, because I'm not just going to sit down home waiting, as I may for several other instances. Sit down waiting. Are they going to come? When are they going to come? Are they coming today still? Do I need to sit down for another hour? Should I leave home? So I was fully informed about what was happening, so that I was able to make decisions. And so the lady called, and then I received the notification that I can follow to see where, to see the journey where she was in terms of coming to me. And then when she arrived, she called me because she missed the avenue. And when she arrived, then I got the notification saying, you know, your hopscotch person is outside. Can you, you know, please go outside to meet them? And so when we talk about customer experience, this is what we're talking about. And when we talk about using, you know, digital capability, so that I am informed at every stage, and I'm informed, well, yes, they did call me, so they did talk to me, but I can use a device, I can use an app to also follow and see exactly how my delivery, where my delivery is, and the progress of it. So it's very important that good alliances are made, that you look in the marketplace to see who is doing really good on this aspect that I may not have the internal capability to deliver on. Who can I actually join with? Who can I use to actually deliver this aspect of my business to my customers? So where can I, you know, find the right alliances? And who do I network with? Are there others in the business like me who I can network with, who I can talk to find out what they're saying and what customers are telling them, and what's happening, what the trends are, what's going on within the marketplace, so that I can make the necessary adjustments as I go. So thinking about, you know, the capabilities you have in-house, and who you can network with, and who you can join with, and which alliances is absolutely a consideration you have to make. If you pull the slide back, you also see the core capabilities. So we're talking about business development, we're talking about marketing, and so marketing. So some people think, well, I can do this on my own. I can, you know, I can handle this. Or they may feel, well, I don't have the budget to do this right now. But you know, there's a whole scale of, you know, how much you can do. But first of all, you need to understand just the very basics. So as we were saying, marketing, the 4 Ps. So understanding really my product, and exactly what it is, its features and its benefits, understanding where I want to sell it, so your channels, and how I want to promote it, and the price. So when you come to the promotion, everything has to be in sync and line up, right, with what you're selling in the target market. So when you think about marketing, yes, so you can have you know, you have your website, and you have your social media presence. But again, like I said earlier, you have to man it, and you have to keep on top of it. And if you're not, then it's time to outsource it. And if you're not someone who's an expert in this area, then it's time to make the investment to outsource it, to look at who who is doing great things with respect to marketing. And there are so many options now for small businesses that are very affordable. So it's something that well, yeah, you could sell your product if you don't market it in a certain way. But if you have a vision that says, I want to be the biggest, I want to grow, this is who I want to attract, then you need to have that presence. So marketing is very important. So who's going to do that for you? So you need to look at that. Who does that in the marketplace and who can do it for me? And then your foundational capabilities. And these ones, the customer doesn't necessarily interact directly with your finance team, and those people behind the scenes, they may not interact with them, but you can't run the business without them. If you don't have some kind of HR presence, if it's more than just you, if you don't have your documentation in place, if you don't have if you have no one who's actually looking at your finances and helping to make sure that your cash, you have the right cash flow, making sure that you're not missing on opportunities financially, and you're able to forecast properly. If you don't have someone who's looking at that, if you have someone who's not doing your taxes, and you don't have that capability yourself because that is not your expertise, that you need to consider who's going to do that for you. So you have to look at all of those. I was joking with a friend yesterday that I fired my admin person more than once, and at the time that I was doing that firing, the admin person was me. So, not that I'm not organized, but I spend my time doing other stuff. So it was time then for me to look at, well, who can do this on my behalf, right? So you need to think about those things. So if we go to the next slide, what do we need to have in place in our business? So when we think about capabilities and what needs to be in place if we're going to be successful, what are the structural systems? What is required? Let's start with governance, policies and practices that need to be in place to deliver on the strategy that you have and to give you the competitive advantage. And if I use an example of my produce delivery company, so local company, since COVID, I rarely buy produce in supermarkets. I use a company called King Foods, and I get fresh produce from them every time I order, how many every days it is that I order. And they have a policy that when they deliver, if the produce is not fresh, if it doesn't look a certain way, then you let them know, and within 24 hours, they will replace it. That's a policy they have in place. So that gives me great comfort as a customer that I can shut my eyes and order. And when I receive my goods, if I take a look and something looks a little off, that I can call them and say, hey, listen, this bag of potatoes, something's wrong here. And right away, they will say, apologize. And before the end of the next day, you have your replacement. So that's a policy they put in place in terms of what they will do in an instance where a customer is not satisfied with the produce. They decided that there's a 24-hour window in which we will make sure that we get a replacement to the customer. So customers know to expect that. And so they have a sense of ease because they know, well, if something isn't right, I know that it's going to be fixed. So that's one example of how you make sure that you have policies in place so that your employees are not guessing, what if this happened? What are we supposed to do? And then they ask everybody around, and everybody has a different answer because nobody's sure. So when you have your policies laid out, so everybody's aware, this is what our company does. This is what happens in the instance that this is the experience a customer has. This is how we will respond. If you have your policies in place so that employees are aware, and you have your standards in place so that everybody knows what everything is supposed to look like, when it's supposed to be done, and the timing is supposed to be done, and what should happen at each instance, then not only do your customers know what to expect from you, but your employees also know what to expect, and they know how to respond every time something comes up. When something happens, they know, okay, when this happens, this is what we do. And so it causes consistency across the board. So in terms of your governance, your infrastructure, what you have in place, your policies, your standards, really important. Well, I mean, vision, mission, and values, they come even before that. Those are the thoughts you have before that. And having those in place helps to keep everybody focused, keep everybody on the same path, so that when things occur, we know what happens. So going back to digital, if you have a digital presence and persons are interacting with you on an online platform, then what is your what's the standard for how soon you get back to persons? Is it within a 5 minute period that a message comes in, somebody responds? In terms of orders, what can people expect from you? Are you going to deliver orders on specific days and let your customers know that these are the specific days that you're going to actually order? I ordered yesterday through what's the name of the company, Flint Hall Farms, and they told me they deliver. It's my first experience with them. They deliver on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So right away, I know when I can expect a delivery when I place it. So they have timelines in place. They communicate that to the customer, and now I have an expectation. So what are the standards in place that you have? What are the policies? So these are very important considerations to make sure that you map out and that you're clear on, and then that you communicate those all to all the persons in your employment, as well as you make it known also to your customer. Okay, Roger? We're not hearing you.
Sorry, I was talking on mute. So, all right. So what Samantha's touched on is governance, and this is the last part of target operating model. What's the governance you have in place, policies and practices? What structures? What's your organizational structure to be able to meet the needs of the new plan and the new way of doing things? And then what tools and systems do you require from an organizational structure point of view? And this was mentioned. If you are a one-man business or you have 2 or 3 employees, do you need to, if I want to deliver this additional functionality or innovation or do things a different way or go after new markets, is my team adequate, right? Do I need to bring on somebody else with a particular skill set? Or if I can't afford to bring on somebody else or expand the team, like Samantha mentioned, should I partner with other people that have that capability and us do it jointly, whether me as company A is presenting to the end customer, but leveraging people in the background. So but the net point is, how do I deliver the wow, right? So I may need to expand my staff, bring on expertise, or work with somebody that has it. And the last thing speaks about gig workers. Gig workers are basically saying, I bring someone on for a gig. So I may not have a permanent relationship with a network of people, but I may hire someone on an as needed basis for a project I'm doing or product I'm going to offer. And then when that project or product is finished, then that person disappears. And then I may hire someone else. So you hire people on an as needed basis, and they may be local people or internationally. There are platforms like Fiverr or Elance or some others where you can get access to talent on demand. And this is some of the best people in the world through these platforms. Because people basically are, with the whole Great Resignation, people are providing their services at a very, very nominal fee, right? That's the org structure. So is my business structure to deliver what we want to do going forward? And then what tools and systems should I have in place to run my business for my operating model? And we've highlighted some here from the point of view of, I would say core tools and foundation and strategic tools as well as foundational. So for most businesses, I have a product or service to sell. I need to be able to do marketing, PR, or business development. I need to be able to do sales. So do I have sales tools that support how I do my marketing or my selling? So it may be something as simple as a spreadsheet with my clients' names, the addresses, and what they buy all the time. It may be through my point of sale register that I'm tracking a person's purchases and sales that I know I can proactively speak to them. Or it may be a list of names of people that are current clients, but people I want to go after who may be new clients. But do I have a tool, whether it's a piece of software like a CRM, customer relationship management tool, or whether I just keep it in a notebook or spreadsheet? How do I leverage technology to keep me on edge and not just do everything in my head? Client support systems. If I provided a product or service to a client, how do I have a system to be able to manage and maintain the expectations after the fact? So if I've sold something to someone, they may come back and say, I didn't like it because it's not doing X or it had a tear. So how do I support clients when things don't go well? And I should have a system, whether technology, could be a database, whatever, or it may be an actual, as I said, support system using, and your online cloud-based applications that offer you the service, something for like $10 a month or whatever. But should I have a system that does that if I'm in today's digital environment and I don't do everything from memory or from my head? And then the last thing is, which is something that we speak about all the time, a lot of small businesses do not focus on really digitizing or using technology for their business operations. So they do not do financial accounting. They do not use technology for administration. And at the simplest level, it should be things like where you either do it yourself or you have someone manage that for you. But you really need to run it properly with your business operations. And what I've shared in the screen, not to be specific or to be biased anyway, there are tools out there that allow a lot of small business and entrepreneurs to do things in a unique way. The top left-hand corner, there's something called Zoho. Zoho is a customer relationship management system. I think if it's under 5 people, it's free. So Zoho One, you can have customer relationship management, you can have accounting, you can have email, you can have inventory management, you can have everything, invoicing, for a tool that basically, if you go to Zoho is free for 1 person or 2 people. And then they start the price going up from there. And this is one of the #1 management system tools in the world. In the middle is Hootsuite. So you can do things like marketing using social media dashboards. I publish something and it goes to my Instagram, my Facebook, and my website all at the same time, or my Twitter, sorry, at the same time, right? You have Asana, which is a task management tool. So if I'm doing work with networks of people or doing work with my staff members, we can assign tasks and follow to see how it's going and how things are happening. And then the bottom corner, there's Wave. Wave Apps is a new digital online accounting package that allows you to do everything. You can do it from you can do everything through your cell phone, do billings, so receipts and everything. And it's simple, right? So I just throw it out of you. I'm not trying to be prescriptive, saying use this one or use that one. The objective is just to show, for today's environment, a lot of entrepreneurs are using new tools that are very user-friendly, very easy to learn, and not as complex as ones you're traditionally familiar with. So having been through those 2 stages where we spoke about how do we do the strategy, purpose, and strategy, which is really looking at enabling innovation, and then how do we have you with an operating model, which is where we think digital transformation comes in, or I digitally transform the business. Having said of that, what's our guidance on a way forward for small businesses? So, Sam, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, so
Right.
so absolutely, yes, the way forward. So really understanding what the threats and opportunities are and where they are, and making sure that you're able to understand where you are in the marketplace, and the moves that you now need to make in terms of digital transformation. As Roger and I talked about this topic many times, digital transformation. First, it's about transforming your business, period, before you even think, well, I need to go online, or I need to deliver a product, I need to do things in a virtual environment. So understanding what needs to be shifted, and how you are shoring up those capabilities to do that, and really knowing what your customers are asking for. just really, really very important. Making sure that you know what it is that they want and how they want it delivered, how they want to experience what it is that you're actually doing. It may not be a physical product; it may be a service that you offer, and one that you can offer completely digitally, as opposed to how you were offering it before. And so, what is it that they? How do they want? How do your customers want to interact with you?
Yeah,
What?
actually, I organized that
How
event at one, and I never
how do they
expected
do
to.
that? So these are things that you need to understand. What are your customers asking for? Do they want you to respond to them online? Do they want you to deliver? These are things that the choices that need to be made. I remember when the pandemic started, a lot of organizations, a lot of companies, they customers were asking them, well, can you deliver? Can you deliver? And I remember there were a few farms that they started reaching out to persons, putting posters on Facebook and so on, and starting to deliver. So as Roger was talking earlier, the payments, processing, things like that. How am I going to receive payment and from persons and so on? So these are all major considerations that need to be made as you talk about moving forward.
Right. So in terms of this, so basically, when you start to think about the way forward and coming up with a plan and a strategy, recognize that, which is the last thing about tools. Digital tools bring significant benefits to small firms, right? Digitalization, which is really moving to become digital, helps reduce costs by providing better access to information, really using it in a proper manner. It helps small to medium-sized businesses integrate into global markets. So, and I've given an example on the left-hand side of there are many communities out there that you can be part of and market your product or market your services within Latin America and the entire Caribbean region. For example, Connect Americas. But I cannot just be limited to the customers I know. I can go regional or I can go global. So, and really do it in a proper automated way using tools. It facilitates access to resources such as finance, training, and recruitment, e.g. CarryLen. CarryLen is a fully digital online business that supports small businesses, and your interaction with them would be very digital. And then digital also supports innovation, which is what we would attach and how you can do things differently. And the opportunities basically span the enterprise. The opportunities basically span the enterprise where for everything that you want to do, you can do it using digital. How you think you can transform your business? So what we have here is really looking at, and this would have been the first slide. We spoke about engaging customers, transforming your core business, and then reimagining your business. And when we talk about digital experiences front end, it's things like Instagram, Facebook. Those are the ones that most people know. Digital commerce would be like, stores like Amazon.com, Shopify, etc. But really looking to move across. The point here would be the entry point for most small businesses is digitalizing the marketing and digitalizing the admin functions. Because what you want to do is that you want to start someplace where it's manageable. And this is a survey that was done. This is a survey that was done by OECD, Organization of European Countries. And this is what they did a survey and an analysis. They did a survey and an analysis, and they basically found that this is where most people start. And I'm sure if you think about it, you would start with, most people start online. So I want to have an Instagram page, I want to have a Facebook page, I want to do a Twitter account. But a lot of people in Barbados are doing Instagram because it's easy to do marketing that way, easy to set up and everything. So do the same thing. Don't start thinking about digital in a very complex way, and think about, can I set up my business on Instagram, and can I set up a Facebook page? And you can probably figure out to do yourself. If you can't, get somebody to help you with, but look at marketing, look at really getting online. Then the second thing we would say is that look to automate or use digital for your admin functions, whether it's finance, accounting, just how you run your business, right? So start in that area, which is an easy place to start, and then start to move from there to other areas. Once you've gotten your feet wet with using digital technologies in your business, then start to move to adopt other technologies. And a nice place to go is, if I've got a Facebook page, or I've got a website, or I've got an Instagram page, then can I really leverage to find out who's coming, how they, what they're looking for, what are they searching for, which is using things like Google Analytics and Facebook Analytics to really give you a track and perspective on who's visiting your Instagram page, what are they looking for. That lets you tailor. If I want to do campaigns like Facebook, I want to market to a particular demographic. I know this is a demographic that's been coming to my website. This is what they've been looking for. So I can tailor how I go after them, or really tailor the products and services or the offerings to suit what. So that's really using data analytics, which a lot of these tools offer, to be able to do that.
Roger, Roger, if I can jump in here and say that doing this, understanding analytics is not always very straightforward. If you are not familiar with the social media platforms and what happens on the back end, which is the information that they give to you as the subscriber, then it's worth having someone go through that with you. It's worth reaching out to someone to say, look, I'm not very clear on what, how to find out this information and what it means. Unless you're someone who, you're very familiar with the platform, you may not know how to go into, which part in your page on Facebook or on Instagram to go to find out this information, and then how it's presented, exactly what it means to your business. So I just want to say to everyone who's viewing, if this is not something that's your strength or you're not sure, it's important to understand who's visiting your page. It's important to understand if you're reaching your demographic by what you're putting out there, if you're reaching the people that you really intend to reach, so that you know how effective your promotion is. And so it's good to have a clear picture of whether the right people are visiting and the right people are looking at what you are putting out there. And so you need to be able to read and understand that information. And if you don't, then there is no shame in that, because it can be very complex. So just reach out. When I first started, I needed to learn about what happens on the back end and how that information is useful to me. So I think that it's important that this part not be lost, that people really do have an understanding of the analytics.
Thank you, Sam. And just kind of wrapping up as you go forward. So as I said, opportunities span across the entire enterprise. This is actually, I'm not sure what happened there. Oh, right. Opportunities span across the entire enterprise, I understand. To be able to look at how do I do everything. And I have an example of Hopscotch. And I think I had mentioned before, when you look at digital experience, how they engage customers, how they've automated their core business, and how they've transformed their business model, they actually touch everything here. Hopscotch is purely online. If you go on the Hopscotch website, you don't see a phone number, you don't see about us people's faces. You do everything online. Even engaging them is online. But they've automated their business runs digital. How they market, how they deliver, how you pay for goods, everything is online, right? When I say online, you do everything. I mean, you can pay a driver when he comes, or you can pay online. Digital at the core, the supply networks, how they interface with everyone else, the back office, the workforce, all the drivers, they have everything coming to them electronically as to where you're located using the Google Pin, etc. And digital at the horizon, they actually have a culture, I would say, of being digital for everything that they do. The one I highlighted in red here, new business models, is what Sam alluded to before. So the Hopscotch transformed from just being, they started off being providing restaurant delivery. So you would order food from a restaurant and Hopscotch would deliver it to your doorstep. They then went from that to add other capabilities, which is the next one showing we deliver groceries. So they expanded to say, since we do a delivery service, we do it so well, why don't we deliver groceries as well? And this starts to go with the product ecosystem and the 10 types of innovation that I'm doing delivery and people order food, but the same people want the groceries delivered. And then because they perfected the whole delivery model, and Hopscotch really understood who they are. They're not a company that does restaurant delivery. They're actually a digital delivery company. They moved to the third graphic, which says, we deliver everything, right? So the business model changed from being a restaurant delivery company to being a delivery company that delivers anything, because the way they do it is superior, is a signature way of done it, and people believe in their brand, and it works. So we have 4 case studies that I'll go through quickly so you can get to Q&A. So Hopscotch is one in terms of they use digital, and they use digital across the actual enterprise. They use email alerts, they use Google Maps to pin where you are so the drivers can locate it. And Google Maps is the perfect way of doing it. Instead of me saying, you know, I live in St. Philip in Bel Air, trying to explain how to find me. If I pin it, the driver just uses Google Maps. You know, you put in where they're starting from and you put my address and then you just follow it and go. So that's just phenomenal and amazing. And they have alerts all the time telling you driver's left, he's picked up the food, he's on his way, he's 10 minutes away, he's arrived. And then when he leaves, the driver's left. You know, this is your receipt. Everything's just phenomenal. Another one that's a small business that has actually done a digital transformation that's actually great is Yellow Meat, who are based in Deacons. Yellow Meat, their core businesses, they do bread food bowls, but they have really used digital to really market, deliver service, and provide a wow experience to their customers. I had a conversation with Kim Hamblin, who's one of the owners. Kim said when they started the business, it always planned to be online, which is phenomenal. COVID actually forced them to do some of the things that they had to do. So a client can place an order, and the experience is phenomenal. I can place an order for a bread food bowl, saying what I want. When I place the order in, it is the client sends an email confirming the order, and the link give you the order status saying we're about to do it, whatever. The order goes straight into their point of sale system in Deacons. Then the cashier takes it to the kitchen, then they start to do the order. Because of COVID, when I get there, you actually have a link that gives you the status of your order at all times. So I don't have to get out the car to go and figure out, is it ready, is it not ready? You stay in your car and you're given a status to let you know it's ready, when it's going to be ready, and then someone's bringing it to you. But when you put in your information up front, you put the make and model of your vehicle. So the staff member knows who to come to with what the product is and deliver it that way. So they made convenience, but relying on what COVID requires with protocols, they made customer experience wow, and made convenience wow. And the benefit of that is that when I was speaking to Kim, it's 2 things. One, I mean, the customer experience is very important, but also you don't have staff getting pressure, people getting nowhere in mass, lining up, all trying to figure out, is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? I'm putting pressure on the staff, right? The staff can handle orders one at a time, and then they're not under pressure with customers standing around the grill to figure out what's happening or when it's happening. They can manage it and really deliver the amazing service they want to do. Third one I wanted to give as an example is a barbershop. The Gomez Barbershop in St. Philip, they actually cut my hair. The reason why I kind of, not I'm giving a shameless plug for them, the reason why I kind of went to them is that convenience. If you look at their logo, Gomez, where time and great haircuts matter. So we looked at from a business point of view, a barbershop point of view, the challenge I have when I go to a barbershop is I don't like going to them because when you go, you never know if it's going to be full, if it's going to be empty, how long you have to wait. And you go, you see the shop full of people, you sit down there, maybe 10 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And usually you want to wait on a particular barber who knows how to cut your hair the way you want them to cut it. So I'm going to sit and wait until that barber is available. And by the way, everybody else is waiting that same barber as well. So I may be waiting for an hour, right? So, and I'm thinking to myself, I am only going to go to the barber if on a Saturday or Sunday when I've got time. I can't go for a thing. Gomez said, time is important. We are doing it online. So you book an appointment and you can choose the barber and you can actually choose the barber, and it kind of shows it on the right-hand side. So there's a particular barber I go to all the time. I can choose it and choose the option I want, and then it gives me a calendar. It shows me his availability. I put in an appointment for his service on that date, and then it's locked in. They send me a receipt saying, you're booked for this. It goes into my Google Calendar. And then the other thing they show is, which you see on the screen, it gives you a range of prices for the various offerings for the various barbers, and it gives you the time each option takes and what the price is going to be. So they're living out their purpose is to address that problem that men have of wanting a great product, great haircut, but also time is not your friend all the time. And they've done that, and they've done it through digitalization using the customer portal. So that's another example I want to share. And the last one quickly is not to say that it's different and there's no one else doing this, but I found it interesting at Joel Books Limited, and I think he's a one-man business, or if it's him, a couple other people. But his website allows him to stand out as a small business, where he's got a phenomenal website that, if you look at the picture on the top right-hand side, it gives you a virtual tour. So I can see all the properties and walk through them and see, am I interested in that property, without having to just default. I call a real estate agent and I have to go do a physical viewing. So that's scheduling, figuring out when you can go and see it, the owner is going to make it available. And I may go see 4 properties and not be interested in any of them. If I can walk through the property in advance, then I can say, okay, this is the property I want to come and see, because I've toured various properties on your site. I like this one. And then at the very bottom, the graphic shows they've done the product ecosystem. So not only as a real estate agent does he do property sales and long-term rentals, he also has an option there if you want to build your own home, which I'm assuming he's partnered with architects. So I can buy a property, sell a property, rent a property, put my property up for rent. I can also build. So this is everything to do with whole housing and etc. And he's built it all together as one ecosystem. So he's transformed how his business runs using digital and using some of the types of innovation. So that's really what we wanted to share today. And that's the presentation where we touched on enabling innovation as well as digital transformation, how businesses can use them. So Samantha, what I'll do is there's some questions that we have that have been posed, and we'll try to answer some of them now for the next 10 minutes or so. So I'll answer some, you can answer others. The first one is, what are the common digital transformation challenges for small businesses, and how can we overcome them? Sam, do you want to take that one, or you want me to respond?
I can certainly start. So one of the common things that I think is a challenge is the mindset that I can probably do this myself, and not get help doing it, because or just get help with somebody who could just help me open the account. So that happens, I think, a lot. So you set the account up, and whatever platform it is that you're looking to set up, but it's not set up in a way that is easy for your base, your target, to interact with you through that media. And so I think that's one of the things. So it's worth it to get help to do it correctly. But it's not just about doing it correctly. It's about making sure that within your model that you have built in how you're going to sustain it. And so I think that is one of the big challenges. So if you set up your social media presence and it looks great, now put things in place so that you know how often you're checking it. So you have standards around that. How often you're checking it, who is going to be doing the check-in, who's going to be responding, what is it that how are you going to respond if you're going to have a message, like a standard message, in what way, so that your brand is always properly presented and persons know what to expect from you. So I think that, so I would say get help if it's not your area of expertise. Get help to do it right, and make sure you have a model that can be sustained. So and that's where I see a lot of fall off, where people start but then they don't keep up.
I'll add to that just quickly. And what Simon said is 100% correct. Some of the other areas I would add to that would be, many people look at getting into digital or using online. They see digital transformation as, I need to have a Facebook page, I need to have an Instagram, and then once I've done that, I'm good. But you have to really understand, you really should have a business transformation plan, right? You need to understand, who are my customers, what do they want, and how do I offer products and services to suit what they want, and how do I transform my business to meet what they want. So rather than, I have this product to sell and I'm just going to go on Facebook and people are going to flood to me, and then people don't come the way you think they're going to come, I really should understand what the gap in the market is, how do people want to be engaged, and then build a strategy. So the 5 steps we gave you talk about really understanding who your clients are, what product services should you offer them, and how can I differentiate myself. So have a strategy around what you're doing is the first thing. The second comment to make about transformation challenges, small businesses, I think Sam alluded to this. Many people feel they have to do it themselves, or they're on their own, or I have to do an Instagram page or Facebook. So I do an Instagram page or Facebook, but I don't know what to do next, right? What I'd say with it is that I think that you need to, one of the things I suggest is reach out to other persons that have been on that journey and find out from them what they've done or how they've done it. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
2, also reach out to persons who have the expertise. There are people who help build up Facebook pages, people who help with social media. They can probably help you. You can define what I want to do as a business, but let them help you set up what you're doing properly. And then the third thing I'll say, which I mentioned, I agree with, is sustainability. You can put up a website, you can put up a Facebook page. If you're not, or you can put up a Facebook or Instagram. But if you're not providing updates to the Instagram site, if you're not providing updates to the Facebook page, if you're not doing it in a structured manner, if you're not doing sensible updates, if you put up a website and then you don't do what you need to do, or you get a lot of traffic and you're not responding to those people, it can go south. And Sam and I were talking about something we saw in the newspapers where someone had set up a website and they had this tremendous opportunity, but what they said was that it was so busy being in the business, actually making the products, they couldn't answer the clients who were coming in and all the client requests that were coming in. They couldn't manage both. And then the interest started to wane, and now they're kind of back to where they were before, but in the worst position. So the digital opportunity wasn't for them. The thing there could have been, do you need, as we talk about organizational structure, did you need somebody to manage that for you, or did you need someone to help you put away in a way that it could be managed in a more structured manner? So the digital transformation may be a big thing, but inevitably you're going to need help, and you need to have a plan. And the last thing is e-commerce, and most people complain about e-commerce in terms of having to set up an account with the bank, and it's difficult and expensive. And I think I say with that is there are other ways to do a similar thing where people have gotten around. Basically what you do is, how do I get payment from my clients? And maybe you can look to see what other persons have done, whether it's Yellow Meat, whether it's Hopscotch or whatever. How have other people achieved that without necessarily needing to have a complex e-commerce payment online, right? Second question, and just 3 more questions. How can a small business best manage cybersecurity? What I'd say with that is 2 things. One, I think if you have a solution that, well, first of all, I'd say you should work with someone that understands what they're doing and can make sure your site is secure. Because I can't give you an answer saying just do X and you're going to be secure. You really need to leverage someone who works with small businesses who understands security. Now, you may host it on a cloud-based solution, or you may have a cloud offering, and they may offer security. But if you're going to do that, whether whatever it is, the platform, ask them about what kind of security they have, and raise your concerns and see if they cater and cover for that. But you do need external help when it comes to looking at, if you're going online, making sure it's secure, that people can't hack and do things they shouldn't be doing. Third question is, how can businesses unlock new collaborations for innovation? With that one, I would say, and I'll let Sam give her a point of view as well. New collaborations, I think one of the important things is look to see, as Sam mentioned earlier, what are other people doing? And this is where you look at, how can I create an ecosystem? Is there someone that's doing something that supports what my business is intending to do or what my clients want? And a lot of it is being online, talking to people, looking to see what other people have done and see and ask them, how have you done it? Or look to see how they've done it. And then they may use another supplier. Can you collaborate with that same supplier to do a similar thing? But really keeping abreast of what's going on, you know, being online, reading, researching, but really networking with others who've been on that journey already. Sam, anything to add to that?
Yeah, just to add to that, that there is huge value in networking. And if you have a business that you see past Barbados, you want it to be regional or international, you want to really play on the global stage, which you can now do, much easier than you could have before, then you need to talk to people who are not just in Barbados. You need to talk to people regionally and talk to people internationally and network with these people. Talk to them often. If there are groups that you can join, that you can keep abreast, do that. Make sure that you are always in touch. I'm in groups where I talk to people literally around the world in time zones that are 12 hours different. But it's helpful to me because I get insights from other places. So it's so important. I can't underscore how important it is to make sure that you're talking to others in your industry and others who are good associates and alliances to your industry, so that you have a really great perspective of what's going on out there, and you can hear from others exactly how they're doing it and what they're doing. So subscribe, network. It's really important.
Okay. And the last question we see in the chat that we'll address, the question is, what are the first signs that the digital transformation needs to be adjusted? So I've actually put back up on the screen, hopefully everyone can see it, the whole thing about strategic choice cascade, which addresses how do you do a strategic transformation. The reason I put it back on the screen is that it looks at, you define your strategy and you define your operating model. But if you look at it, the arrows go both ways. So it goes from purpose to where do you play, to what is your competitive advantage, to capabilities and execute. But there's a dotted line going the other way, which kind of like says this is a continuous cycle, because as times change and as new players come into the market or as the world changes, you need to be constantly changing and transforming. So the first signs you have, you should always be asking yourself, you don't really necessarily change your purpose, but you have to look to see, is my market is my target market changing? Are there more millennials who are buying this kind of product? And if that's the case, how do I change that? And the way you see that is by being aware of what's happening in the industry that you're in, or the products and services, to see which buyers are the majority buyers, and networking with other people you find out as well. But the simplest way is looking at your own website or your own Facebook page to see, I may have thought this is my target market, but I'm seeing I'm getting more hits from people that are this age. When they sign up as customers, they are maybe 25 years old. And I may have thought my target market was, women who are 50, and you may find younger, males who are 25. So use the analytics that your technology has, your whether it's Google Analytics or your Facebook or whatever, to help inform you as to what you thought really the case, and then changing it to suit based on that. And then if that's the case, change your market and change your competitive advantage if you have a different client. But the net point in terms of the first signs would be keeping track of what's going on outside in the larger world, right? Looking to see what are the trends, what are people saying, also check other people's websites, right? And check feedback sites. You also should have something that's a feedback mechanism that you can, when someone buys from you, get like a comment in terms of how did things go or what are they doing. That you can see what's happening, but you can also hear from your direct customers what they're saying. But you need to be listening in a nutshell all the time and being able to adapt what your strategy was and pivot to something that's different. But feedback and networking and monitoring are key ways of seeing when you need to adjust what your strategy was. So those are some of the core questions that were in the chat, and hopefully today's session has been good and useful. We've covered most of the thoughts and ideas that people, questions people would have had, and addressed some of the thoughts and ideas I had about, if I want to get into digital transformation, how do I start? So I'll hand it back over to the moderators.
Thank you very much, Roger and Samantha, for sharing a wealth of tools and strategies that small businesses can leverage to innovate, think differently, and operate differently and transform their businesses in today's environment. I think one of the most impactful comment you made at the start of your presentation was that disruption creates opportunities, and indeed, um, I have my thought process is that every crisis provides opportunities, and we just need to see those opportunities. So there are many persons who see COVID, and look at the disruptions that COVID has brought and continue during this period of the ongoing pandemic. But the fact is, there are opportunities that um, COVID has, and the case studies is borne out in all the case studies that you and Samantha shared in this session. And so I think I would just want to underscore on behalf of the Barbados Chamber what you have said, both of you in your presentation, that it really is critical for businesses to harness those opportunities that exist by way of digital transformation, and in in order to rebuild better, innovate, transform their operations. It is our hope that from this workshop, which I've found quite enriching, that businesses will utilize the key takeaways and the strategies that you both have provided to move their businesses to the next level and ensure that they have and remain, having that competitive edge that will grow and succeed, ensure that they grow and succeed in today's environment, because that really is the key to ensuring business continuity and survival. We had mentioned earlier that this workshop series has really been made possible through the invaluable contribution of our sponsors. And so at this time, we'll have a short sponsor video display by our silver sponsor, Deloitte, as we bring this session to a close. So please just bear with us, participants, for a few more minutes. Over to you, Nicholas.
Life is complex. Everything interconnected, in constant flux. A simple shift in focus can reveal hidden issues and unearth new opportunities. At Deloitte, we make it our priority to look again and to dig deeper beneath the surface, analyzing the many intricate issues that businesses face, providing insights that help turn risks into opportunities, disruption into growth, information into transformation, helping our clients focus on the heart of what really matters. And with these insights, even the most complex problems can become new possibilities. This is what we do.
Okay. So we have now come to the end of today's online session, and we want to thank you for staying with us. Thank you for your time and commitment and for just partnering with the Barbados Chamber as we seek to help small businesses in Barbados improve and enhance their operations during this challenging time. On behalf of the Barbados Chamber of Commerce, I really just want to place on record our appreciation to those who have made this the first in our workshop series a success. To our workshop facilitator Roger and to Samantha who supported you. We really want to thank you for the time. Thank you for sharing your expertise and your invaluable insights. These are key takeaways, and we at the Chamber certainly will be able to have this online to be able to share with our wider membership. I also would like to thank our Senior Vice President, Jimmy Clark, who delivered welcome remarks on behalf of the Barbados Chamber and on behalf of our President, Anthony Branco, who unfortunately could not be here with us today. Thank you to you, our online participants. Thank you also to our sponsors. We continue to express our gratitude to our gold sponsor, the nation, to silver sponsor Fund Access, silver sponsor BEC, silver sponsor Deloitte, and our two bronze sponsors, Guardian Insurance and RDL Eagle Trade Limited. We really do appreciate your willingness to contribute in a tangible way to the continued success of the initiatives of the Barbados Chamber as we continue to seek to support businesses in Barbados. To you, our members, small business owners, and participants, we really do hope that you found this session beneficial and that there are key takeaways that you will be able to utilize as you continue to take your businesses to the next level. To the media for their support, and by no means last but no means least, to the dedicated staff of the BCCI Secretariat who continue to work tirelessly behind the scenes to pull this series together. In closing, I just want to encourage you to stay safe, continue to maintain the COVID-19 practices in your businesses and homes, and we hope to see you participate or join with us on Monday, the November 22nd via Zoom, when we will host the second in our workshop series. And let me just take a little time to share with you the second workshop is looking at marketing and service excellence as a winning strategy. And I heard the facilitators today underscored how important marketing and service excellence is important to ensure that your business have that competitive edge. So we encourage you to contact the BCCI Secretariat um, or visit our Facebook page or our website to sign up and register for the next session on Monday, November 22nd. And we also have on the 25th another session on financing options for small businesses. So these are a series of workshops that are geared towards taking your business to the next level, and we really do hope that you will join us. Make use of the opportunity and support us as we continue to support you and partner with you to build a very healthy business ecosystem in Barbados. So once again, thank you and a pleasant good afternoon.
Life is complex. Everything interconnected, in constant flux. A simple shift in focus can reveal hidden issues and unearth new opportunities. At Deloitte, we make it our priority to look again and to dig deeper beneath the surface, analyzing the many intricate issues that businesses face. providing insights that help turn risks into opportunities, disruption into growth, information into transformation. Helping our clients focus on the heart of what really matters. And with these insights, even the most complex problems can become new possibilities. This is what we do.